Hello, my name's Junior and my dad's fixing a lawnmower. He's going to show you how though. And he found this one in the trash can. How many years ago?
I found it in the trash a couple years ago.
Yes. But Dad, why did they put them in the trash can?
That's a good question, son. It's because they're too lazy to fix anything themselves and do anything for themselves. And so they don't fix it. It goes to the trash, and then people that know how to fix stuff can end up with something for free.
That's a good idea for them to throw it away. Because we get stuff that's free.
So this is originally, this mower is aluminum deck, super recycler from Toro, 6 horsepower, Briggs and Stratton engine, right around the $500 mark. This isn't the cheapo. And somebody used cheap gas, probably from a supermarket, and this is what you end up with, is a mower that doesn't run.
Yes.
Bad for them, good for me.
Because Dad once had a truck and he got bad gas, and didn't that ruin it?
Yep, that killed old Christine.
He named his truck Christine.
So, I've taken air cleaner off. The cover that mounts to the carburetor off.
Oh. Wait, Dad, show that again. My finger was in the way.
Right there. Now, there's a gasket that goes right here, and sometimes it'll stick to this or it'll stick to the carburetor. Try your best to not to let it rip, but it's worth ordering some off of eBay or something because they're real cheap. And when you put this back together, these warp, even though you can't see it. You're going to want to put 2 gaskets right here so that it seals up against the carburetor and the primer works. You might have a clean carburetor, but you still can't get it started. So next, you'll use a 3/8 socket, unbolt the carburetor from the block. So that way it's easier to work on. 2 bolts. Now, once you can get the carburetor off, come on here, and show in here.
Okay. Oh, the bench is moving.
That's okay. Get your pliers, move your hose clamp back, pull your hose off, and I use a 1/4 inch nut driver to plug the gas line. There's no sense in wasting any of the gas. So now you got your carburetor off.
Yep.
This is where the magic happens.
Do I show the carburetor? Do I show the carburetor? I'll get back on my bench and zoom in on the carburetor.
Okay. So now you got the carburetor off. Take a 1/2 inch socket and take the bowl off.
Oh, fingers in the way. Fingers in the way for a few seconds.
Don't lose the little gasket. Now, down here, this nut that goes into the bottom of the carburetor has a little hole that goes through the nut right here. And then it's got another hole in here that connects to those 2 holes. Most of the time, this is going to be clogged up. So you'll use regular welding tip cleaners. You can get anywhere that has welding supplies, any of the big box stores or Harbor Freight. The main thing that's keeping your mower from running is a lot of times is this nut. So make sure it is thoroughly cleaned. So after running your welding tip cleaner, through there. I'll get a little carburetor cleaner. Should probably wear safety glasses, but I didn't think about it. And spray through this. There you go. So now that part is clean. Next, you remove the bowl and do it pretty slowly so that way you try not to damage that rubber gasket. If you do, the rebuild kits for these are really cheap. Replace it, because if you don't, it's going to leak. So if you can look down in there, you can see the discoloration where bad gas has been run through here. So make sure you dump all that out, and while you're doing this, while you're cleaning the carburetor, spray just a little bit of carburetor cleaner in here and let that sit in the bottom, and it'll help dissolve some of that bad gas. Next,
Plug. Sorry, here we go.
focus. You're going to pull the pin out that holds the float and the needle valve in. Sometimes, depending on how cheap a gas or how long you let the gas sit, the corrosion will build up in between where the gas comes in and right here. So you don't want to spray too much carburetor cleaner down here because there's a rubber gasket in there. And if you're trying to do this without having to buy any new parts, just be careful how you do it.
Got sprayed.
So it's going through there really well now. Next, there's a tube going from the bottom here up to the center of the carburetor. Gas is going to come through here, go through the bottom of that nut, up through it, and into the carburetor. Now, get real close right here. In there, you can see that little brass fitting, and there's going to be a little bitty hole in that. Run the welding tip cleaner, the smallest size or next to smallest size in most cases, and it should go several inches. After doing that, spray a little carburetor cleaner in there. Cover the ends with your finger so it doesn't come back and spray you in the face. And you should see that fluid come out of the bottom, meaning that you got a clear passage.
Yay!
Those two spots are your main ports that are going to prevent you from running, that usually clog up. I always hit the carburetor cleaner to each of the holes though, just to make sure I don't have anything gumming it up. So, you verified all your ports are clean. Clean the float, just make sure there's no junk sitting on
Dad, I'm getting wet.
it. You'll be alright.
Okay.
It's good for you. Put a hair on your chest.
Well, there we go.
Put the pin back in. You allow that carburetor cleaner to sit in there. You can either take like some emery cloth or an abrasive cloth and run it in there a little bit, but clean it out.
Wait, Dad, show that again. I didn't get it. Okay, good.
Put it back on top. Make sure you got your little paper gasket.
Wait, Dad, I didn't see that.
Paper gasket.
Okay.
Goes on this nut. Set it on the bottom. Take your time, make sure you don't cross thread this.
Oh no.
back up. Now, show in here.
Where?
Right down here where my finger's at.
Oof.
Okay, there's a little rubber gasket right here. Sometimes that falls off, sometimes it breaks, sometimes some yin yang has tried to work on it and lost it. It needs that. If you don't do that, when you put it all back together, the mower is going to surge. And it's just annoying and it'll never run right. So let's go back into the order we took it off. Hook up the linkage right here. Show them where I'm putting this in.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, wait, let me zoom up again. Okay, where is it?
Right here.
Okay.
So you're going to put this in before you bolt anything down. Take your stopper out. And hook up your gas line again. Make sure you get your hose clamp on there. Now turn your hose clamp down so that way when you put the bolts back in, it's not in the way. So start with your 3/8 bolts that hold the carburetor to the intake. Tighten them up evenly. Don't tighten one side down. Once you get them both sides snug, then you can tighten it down. Alright, now I already have 2 gaskets on this particular mower. So, sure your little vent tube is pointed in the right direction. That'll make all the liberals happy that you're recycling your exhaust gases. You don't have to do that, but that's just the way the mower comes.
Oh, my back. Dad, can I straighten up real quick?
Almost done. Sit on your butt.
Okay, let's see. Almost done. Wait, I need to zoom in, don't I?
Now on this part right here, it's really important that you tighten these first 2 bolts down evenly. If you don't, it will not get a good enough clamp on the carburetor, and it won't start because it won't prime by pushing a little bit of gas into the carburetor. So before you get them tight, get all 3 in. And then work these down till they're pretty tight. Okay, now can you shine in there?
I don't have any lights.
There we go. Now, if you look down in here real careful and you see that little brass tube, hope this works. Yep, you can see a little bit of gas going in there. That means it's going to prime. That's where the money shot is. One more just for fun. Alright, hold that, Junior.
Where do I put it?
Keep video.
Okay.
Okay. Put your air filter back on. So, in 15 minutes, you have saved yourself at least $100 at a lawnmower shop, if not $300 or $400 on a decent lawnmower. So I've already primed it a couple times. And that's how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Cut.
Wait, can I show that? Okay. Please like or comment below if you like this video.